Well, folks, I must say, as much as I want to make a video today, I have a lot of work to do. I have something overdue in my science class. I have something overdue in my careers. I have a lot of stuff to do. So, no video today. Hey, end of the road. God. No,
You haven't made a Spirit Halloween
I know.
2024 tier list.
Fine,
Make
okay.
a Spirit...
Hey, this is End of the Road Haunts, and I've got to be honest. Spirit Halloween 2024 may or may not have been one of their funnest seasons for me. Like, I don't know, just the way the releases were done, like June 2024 was such a fun month. You know, I was listening to good music at the time. I, remembered where I was when all the teasers came out. It was just so fun. The leaks were neat. Flagship was great. My local store was bigger this year, so that's pretty fun. But yeah, 2024 was a blast. And not to mention the fact that the themes and animatronics were really good in my opinion. Especially the animatronics. So I thought, well, maybe I should do a tier list of them. I was going to release an animatronic idea today, which, I probably will tomorrow. But, I don't know. I'll just do this instead. One video a day. That's what you're getting from me. So yeah, let's get into this. So the first prop we have to talk about is Cotton Candy Daniel. Now, I must say, I loved him when he came out. Like, when his demo came out, I was like, oh my god, he's great. But he grew off me over the course of the season. But after seeing him in stores and stuff again, man, I want him so badly. Honestly, I think he's probably in my top 10 of spirit clowns they've ever done. So, yeah, honestly, I would say he's S tier. He's like one of my favorites of the year. One of the ones I always think about when I think of Spirit Halloween 2024. So yeah, Cotton Candy Dan, S tier. Next up is Gravestone Ghoul. He's a very simple one, and he's one that I know a lot of people don't like, because the thing is, he's a little generic. He's very similar to all those, Morris Costumes, SVI, generic skeletal zombie props. But I gotta be honest, I really do enjoy the generic SVI skeletal zombie props. So, he's nothing to write home about, but I'll say it, I think his animation's neat. I think the detail on the tombstone and stuff is good. He's a fun little side character for Haunt, so I'd say B tier. Nothing really good to propel him to A or S tier, but nothing bad about him to put him at C tier. So I think he's just B. Next up is Max Straw, which, I'll say it, he's a neat concept for a scarecrow. The, floating on the pitchfork thing is, it's neat, right? And his face is cool enough. And I can see how he'd really work in a display. But at the same time, after seeing him in stores a few times, I gotta be kind of honest, I think he's a little boring. His clothing looks a little bland, his animation is simple, and sure, I don't want him to have a Mr. Dark animation, but, I just find him a little boring. Not saying there's no time or place for him, because there absolutely is, but for me, he's just a little, I don't know. Not really something that I love. I'd say C tier. Which, by the way, C tier isn't a bad tier whatsoever, in my opinion. It just means that there are, some considerable flaws with it, but it's still okay. Yeah, I don't know. He's just alright to me. Oh boy. The Cremator is such a roller coaster for me, which is something you may not be able to tell from such a, simple prop. But because when the name came out, I was like, oh my god, Cremator is gonna be so cool! And then when he first got revealed, I was like, shit, that's not what I wanted. But then as that day went on, I thought I actually quite liked the Cremator. And so I kind of stayed at a warm level to him, no pun intended, until Flagship, when I saw him and I thought, ooh, he's really dull. So he dropped down to my F tier. But then I saw him in person and I was like, yeah, maybe I like him. So I've had kind of turbulent feelings for him, but I'll be honest, I enjoy Cremator. I do. For his price, yeah, he's not really worth that. I wouldn't pay full price for him, but he's something that I honestly do kind of want. I wouldn't go out of my way to get him, but like if I found him at a 50% off sale, I'd buy him, no questions asked. I mean, I like his simplicity. I find his concept cool. The fire and ice light effect is neat, I'll say it. And I quite enjoy his audio. Like, he has quite a lot of atmosphere as a small static prop, and, I enjoy static props. I would say B tier for him. Nothing to make him really good, but at the same time, I like him a little too much to put him in one of the lower tiers. Next, we've Wanda Weberth. She is... I'll be honest, I haven't thought about her much lately. I'm torn from where to put her. I do really like her concept. I just think the execution is a little weird. I don't know, I feel like, her concept's cool. She's well detailed. I'd probably like her a lot more if I got her, but she just could have done a little more. I'm thinking if, like, 2 more of her legs would have moved, then she would have been sold for me. But alas, they don't. So I find her just a little simplistic demo-wise, but she is a cool concept. And, I love to see the giant spiders for Spirit. So, honestly, just to round out the tier list and make it a little fun, plus I just like to enjoy props, I'm gonna put her at A tier. This is something that I would like to see from Spirit more, and I think they did a pretty good job on her. I did want to get her for, like, a good, solid month or so. But yeah, she's cool. Bobby. I'll be real, I do not hate Bobby Strings. Yeah, his voice is a little goofy, but I've gotta say, I was a little iffy on him when it came out, but after seeing him in stores quite a bit, I really enjoy Bobby. I did want him for, like, quite a while. He's one that I think is honestly really cool. He looks cool. I don't mind his phrases, really. Like, he has, and people say this about Mr. Punchy and it makes me crash out a bit, but I'll be honest, he has a lot of character. I do enjoy his character as, like, a mischievous child. So, honestly, I'm gonna say he's A tier. I don't know, he's one that I found really cool. He's quite imposing in person with his just large size and all. And I don't know, he's just a fun character, looks unique. I like the big puppet aesthetic, so yeah, Bobby Strings is A tier. So, Dark Princess. I'll be real, I loved her from the jump. Now, when her name came out, I kind of had the suspicion she's either going to be really good or really bad. And let me tell you, she definitely went in one of those directions. I really like Dark Princess. When her video first came out, I was like, whoa, cool, okay, I like this. And my opinions didn't change much seeing her in person, but after getting her, I liked her even more. And I'll be honest, I see a lot of hate for her, and, if you hate Dark Princess, I mean no offense by this, but your opinion doesn't matter. Like, just as a human being, your opinion is not worthwhile if you dislike Dark Princess. So, I have to say, alongside Cotton Candy Dan, and honestly a lot of others, because this was a good year, she's S tier, in my opinion. Like, just nice, unique, possessed girl, scary audio, genuinely a really eerie, startling prop from Spirit. Like, this is something I want to see a lot more. Bloodless props that are still really unsettling, and she fits that bill perfectly. So yeah, I love Dark Princess. S tier, all the way. Okay. Nibbles the Clown. Now, when we found out his gimmick, I was really excited. And I was blown away with him at Flagship. Grew to really enjoy his character. And then I bought him. And if you know, I kind of regret that purchase. Although I will say, I find myself at times, I find him growing on me. I'll say it. Thinking, damn, Nibbles was actually pretty cool. So, I don't know if I could really say he's bad. But the whole thing with him is that he has the whole motion tracking gimmick. Except, it doesn't work the best. In a well-lit environment, it's actually really uncanny having him, like, look dead at you from the side. So it works sometimes, but in a dark environment, it does not work at all. And his character isn't really enough to fully compensate for that. It's not bad by any means. There are way worse clowns out there. His character's just not really anything to write home about, to be honest. And so for a lot of people, a more simple SVI clown, they'd be all over. But for me, I'm a bit like, eh. Although, I mean, he's not too generic. Like, they tried something with his look for sure. I really like the colorful lollipop contrasted with his clothing, which also has nice contrast too. The bright, makeup on his face and the bright yellow accents with his dark blue, just clown suit. He is cool enough, though. I'd say B tier. I don't think his character is cool enough to be A or S, and the gimmick doesn't work that well to make him higher, but he's not a bad one, to be honest. So he's around B tier for me, to be completely true. That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT! I'll say it, I love Ringmaster. I think he is awesome through and through. He is great. I remember when he came out, I was a little iffy on him, and I thought, the projection's kind of funky. But when I saw it was fully animated, I was just flabbergasted. I love this dude's character so much. Like, I thought his audio was really cheesy from the get-go, but to be honest, the more I listen to it, it is cheesy, but in a kind of giant robots fighting, like dragons type of cheesy. And the way, it's a little, it's a little over the top. But man, it's so fun. I love his voice acting so much. The character, the timing, the background noise. And just, in terms of quality, he's actually pretty solid. Not, the best quality ever, obviously. But, his metal's pretty solid. His clothing is fairly high test. He does have a little bit of a glitch with his, moving back motor, but that's about it. His character is awesome. His face sculpt is so, it's a little cartoony, but in a way that has so much, character to it. And he's one that I bought, and I was actually quite expecting to regret. I was just expecting to be like, maybe I should have got something else. But honestly, I'm very happy I got him. I want to use him again this year, and he's just one that I'm very, very happy with. So, Ringmaster's S tier. He's the leader of the Carnival, so if there had to be one prop to represent 2024, not only would it be Ringmaster for that reason, but also just because he's straight up good. Next up is Barnaby the Bear. He's one that I really want to really like, but in all honesty, I don't. Look, I think his color scheme and stuff is pretty cool. And he's an original concept. Spear tried something with him, with the motor and stuff, him bouncing on the ball. Spear clearly tried. And so I at least gotta respect props when, they try to do something unique but miss the mark. That's something that I'm always I give extra points for. But in terms of missing the mark, he's a little cheap looking. His animation wasn't great in person. On video it was really cool, but it just didn't work amazing. He's not the scariest prop ever. And plus, I'll say it, despite the neatness of his animation, he is a little boring. I don't hate him by any means, but to me, he's just C tier. Good enough to be alright, but still C tier. Yeah, I don't know. He's just not quite what I hoped he'd be. But oh well, at least they tried something with him. Next up is Art the Clown. And man, I tweaked so hard when he came out. I'm sure, many people who have been watching the channel for at least a year are aware of the infamous video where I cackled with euphoria when he came out, which honestly, I'll say it wasn't much of an overreaction for me. I didn't really amp that up because I was going crazy, especially when I found out he was only $200. Really, he's everything an Art the Clown prop needs to be, in my opinion. Other than, I feel like the face could have been a little better, but in all honesty, while I don't like saying, well, just tweak your props, just customize them, because then that kind of defeats the point of just buying them. his face can be really easily tweaked to just be like that much better. And while, in retrospect, maybe I would have preferred him to be all bloody with a weapon or something, him with the horn, waving at everybody is still a facet of his character that you can't really ignore. And in terms of that version of art, they did perfectly. So I would say he's S tier. I love Terrifier a lot. I've wanted an Art the Clown prop since I've seen it, and this is a very good Art the Clown prop. Very good licensed prop in general. He is a good one. Next up is Michael Myers. And I remember I have been defending this guy for, pretty much since he came out. And I did really like him when he came out, and I will say there are a lot of very good things about him. I think he is probably one of the best retail Michael Myers props we've gotten. And I'll say this, other than, the nose and the eyes, I think his mask is still really good. His mask is still pretty solid. But, just after seeing more videos of him, I don't really know about him. He's definitely grown off me. And, I kind of mentioned it with art, but there are people who can argue, well, swap out his mask and his jumpsuit and then do a trick to swap out his audio. And at that rate, it's like, dog, just make your own Michael Myers prop. Because, that's $100 in changing him. Over $100 in changing him anyways. So, yeah, I don't know. For me, he's C tier. His execution wasn't the best. He is a little robotic, he's a little boring. Doesn't look as good as he could. So, yeah, as sad as I am to say it, I think he's C tier. So when he first came out, I'll be real, I wasn't very much a demonic Gatekeeper fan. But honestly, he grew on me throughout the season. There was a good stretch of time where I did actually quite want to get him. I didn't end up doing that, and do I regret that? No, not really, to be honest. But he is one that still crosses my mind sometimes. It's like, hey, that would be cool to get. I never got the privilege of seeing him in person, which does make me quite sad. But from what I saw in videos, he was huge. And so, as much as I don't want to engage the caveman part of my brain that just thinks, well, Big Reaper cool. At the same time, Big Reaper cool. You gotta admit, I like his voice acting. His face is actually pretty unique looking, and I thought it looked cartoony. But honestly, there's a menace to it. He's one that I do really want to see in person, and I don't know if I'll ever get the chance unless I get him. But Demonic Gatekeeper, I think, is pretty cool. He's A tier, in my opinion. Great cemetery prop. Yeah, he's neat. He grew on me for sure. Giant Death Ray, I'll be honest, my opinions really haven't changed throughout the entire year since he's been released. In a good way, though. Because when he first came out, I was like, damn, okay, he's pretty cool. And I've pretty much maintained that thought throughout since he came out. I think he is pretty damn cool. And in person, he's, very tall, very menacing. I love the light features. I find his audio really cool. Something about it is just so fun and alien. And I quite enjoy how unique he is. And the way he's not like your standard, green guy. But he's tall, skeletal, and inhuman enough to be clearly an alien interdimensional creature thing. But also just humanoid enough to still have that uncanny valley to him. I don't know. I think he is really cool. Decently versatile for an alien. Yeah, he's A tier, in my opinion. Definitely one that I do really enjoy from Spirit last year. Night Terror. Le Terreur de la Nuit. I mean, you know what I'm gonna say. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, end of the road, you just dislike Night Terror because everyone else does and you wanna seem popular. No, I dislike Night Terror because he is not good. He's not good. He grew on me slightly during the season because I thought of a story for him. You know, Night Terror Tales from Spirit Hollow. Watch Tales from Spirit Hollow Night Terror episode. Plugging Tales from Spirit Hollow, please. I put effort into those. And so he kind of grew on me, and I'm like, you know, his character's alright, which I'll still say, like, if he was made in a different fashion, you know, maybe I could even see myself getting him, but he's just really, really cheap looking. His audio is not it. And I remember I finally got the chance to see him in person, and I just thought, damn, this is bad. This is a bad prop. This is not good. And so, like, sure, he'd be cooler if he was, like, 7 feet tall in SVI, except then he wouldn't really have the whole budget aspect, but still, I don't really think he's a very good budget prop. But yeah, he's just not good. He's F tier. I'm sorry. You know, every lineup needs their F tier prop, and that's Night Terror for 2024. He's just not good. What much more can I say? You know what isn't not good, though? Emily and Victor. Yeah, I'm gonna count them as one prop. Because, okay, I will say one pitfall of them is that if you want them, you kind of need deep pockets. Because getting just Emily, like, that's fine. But let's face it, no one's gonna get just Victor. So, yeah, that's the only issue with them. The only one. Prop-wise, they're stellar. They are amazing. I love them so much. When they first came out, I had pleasant neutral feelings towards them because I didn't see Corpse Bride at the time. But I thought, well, you know, they're Halloween-y. People have asked for them. Okay, like, that's fine. They're good. And I could appreciate them for what they were. But I very much had the idea of, like, well, they're good, but I don't think Corpse Bride is really my thing. But then eventually, at the end of summer, I got to watching Corpse Bride, and I realized, whoa, this is really good. Like, I'll say, The Corpse Bride is a really good movie. It's, like, it's, you know, good emotion, good, like, decently emotional. It's funny, it's got a unique style and just vibe to it. I quite enjoy it. And the props echo it perfectly. You know, they look exactly accurate. Their audio tracks are honestly, I'll say it, kind of beautiful. Like, call me cringe or whatever, but sometimes I kind of choke up when I'd see them in the stores. And despite all this, I have, like, no urge to get them. I don't know why. I love them so much. Honestly, one could argue they're the best props in this year, and I wouldn't fight you at all. But they're just not something I really need in my collection. But despite that, they are S tier. For sure. Maybe even top of S tier, as I've said. They're just amazing, in my opinion. Like, through and through, they're two amazing animatronics. I love Emily and Victor so much. Next up, Towering Tula. I'm not really sure what to think about her. Because, like, she's pretty unnecessary. She's unnecessary. I'll say it, I don't really like her face all that much. Like, it's good on paper, on a drawing. But in person, I found it to be very flat. And I don't know, I just wish there was a little more dimensionality there. Yeah, I'm not a very big, Towering Tula fan. Nobody really is, except for, like, a few people. I don't hate her. She'd look really good in the right settings, like especially something like a laser swamp or just a swamp in general. I think she'd look great. But yeah, not bad enough to put in like D tier, but at the same time not that good either. So I'd just say C tier. C tier isn't a bad tier as well. It's just the lower end of mid. And I think that describes Towering Tula pretty well. Next up is Ghostface, who's kind of a weird one for me. Because, I'll be real, I don't know if Ghostface is really that much of my thing. I used to really like him, but I don't know. Since then, Ghostface's slasher has just kind of grown off on me, not gonna lie. I don't know why. But that being said, you gotta admit, this is a pretty good one. The interchangeable machete and knife's pretty cool. The interchangeable masks are pretty cool. And he uses audio straight from Scream 5. No, 6. Sorry, Scream 6. Which, you gotta appreciate better than just the cringe, screaming one. He's pretty much does everything right. I do really enjoy the animation, though. I'd love to see a reskin of him. But otherwise, I don't love him enough to be S tier. But at the same time, he's not okay enough to be B tier, so I just say A. Smack dab in the middle of those two, he's A tier. Definitely a very good one. I just don't adore him personally, but I can see why other people do. Next up, we have Shirley Stab, who's a weird one. Because conceptually, I think she is S tier. This is exactly the type of prop I want. Like, looks like it came straight from a Spirit prop idea, the whole carved out pumpkin face, diner waitress aesthetic. She is just, like, all the way there aesthetically. However, her execution does knock her down quite a bit. Here's the thing. I'll happily defend her because here's the thing. Whenever Spirit tries a more out there, scary, gory prop, even if it's not that great conceptually, I'm like, no, please, buy it, everyone buy it! Because that means, Spirit will make more, and, so that's why I'm so quick to defend Shirley Stab. But yeah, seeing her more, she's not great execution-wise. She is pretty, mannequin-looking, plasticky. Her animation is not only stiff, but just kind of lacking. It's just the arm. And also kind of unnatural at that. So yeah, conceptually, character-wise, she's like S tier. But I think her execution brings her down a little too much. So for me, she's B tier. Not a bad tier at all. But yeah, concept-wise, I really want her to be S. But execution-wise, no. I don't think she is S. Next up is Wolfie. And I feel like the Haunter community has collective amnesia about this guy. Because I've not heard his name in months. In fact, I haven't even thought about him in months. For good reason. Yeah, I don't know about this one, Chief. Here's the thing, skeleton werewolf, I'll say, is a neat concept. But A, 10-foot skeletons are like a dime a dozen in the Halloween industry nowadays. And plus, the head, I think, just really throws it off for me. The fact that, like, everything's skeletal except for the head, it's all fleshy and stuff. But still skeletal colored, it's like, what? Like, if they actually had, like, a wolf skeleton head, that would actually be pretty cool. Like, wolf skull. I think that would actually be pretty neat, and he'd go up quite a few tiers. But that's not what he has. So, I don't know if I truly hate him, but at the same time, there's just nothing really good about him. So, yeah, I think he's F tier. Everyone else does, but I do too. He's F tier. I'm not a Wolfie fan. Next up is Frankenstein, the November release, along with something else. And I'm just gonna cut straight to the chase. When I see Frankenstein, I just think he was born for the C tier. Like straight up. When I think C tier prop, I think Frankenstein. Forgot about him quite a bit. But, like, I'll say it, I don't hate his animation. I didn't mind him when he came out, but, like, seeing in-hand videos of him, oof. Not that good. He's not very good. Yeah, like, his animation's a little dopey, his looks are weird. He is very C tier. Perfectly lower end of mid. Yeah. Next up is one of the animatronics of all time. This is Lucky Liz. Out of all props Spirit released last year, especially for the November releases, she was one of them. I remember seeing her and thinking, damn, that is an animatronic. Yeah, she not very necessary in the slightest. A lot of people treat her like, okay. Yeah, a lot of people treat her like, an Israel level war crime. I don't think so. I don't think she's terrible. I don't hate her. But at the same time, I don't really think... I kind of like her color scheme, and that's about it. I don't think she's terrible enough to be F tier, but at the same time, I don't think she's good enough to be C tier. So she's just sitting at D tier for me. Yeah, Lucky Liz is D tier, in my opinion. And now we are on to the 3 returns. First of which being Cberus. And can I just say, the returns in 2024 were really good in my opinion. Not the best of the best, but they were still pretty good. Cberus is a weird one for me, because objectively, as a return, he's kind of mid. Although I got him, and I love him so much. Like, he's one of my favorites in my collection now. Probably the best prop I got last year. But as a return, yeah, he's a little mid. Because he came back in 2019. So someone will be like, hey, Spirit, I mean, not that I dislike him, but why are you bringing him back again? That doesn't make sense. Random ass return for sure. But I do quite enjoy him, so I don't know where to put him. C or... No, not C, not C. Oh, Jesus. No, don't say that. Yeah. A or B. What's the first? Okay, I'm screwed. I'm gonna put him in B tier. Cause yeah, objectively, he's not the greatest return, but I do personally really like him. Next up is Twitching Banshee, who is one that I've wanted to return for years, and I'm very glad that I got her. And on top of that, she's right there. Now, one slight drawback with her that a lot of people have pointed out is that she is wholesale. Like, she was at, like, Costco, Home Depot, so yeah, I can see why people would be a bit irked about this being a return. Although, at the same time, I enjoy her anyways, so I don't really mind. But also, I mean, some people point out that the paint job on the new one is worse, but I disagree, honestly. I got her, took her out of the box, and I realized, hey, she looks just fine. And, some people also point out that she's slower, but that's only because they added some extra hair to her. And all you need to do, grab some scissors, cut her hair, and she moves like a dream. She moves really fast when she has some haircut. Literally just a bit. And so she's not S tier of a return because she's not perfect. But at the same time, I love her. I've wanted her for a while. So I'd say she's A tier. Next is Towering Clown. Third last prop of the list. Now, I feel a little weirdly about him because, to be honest, I do really enjoy him. I think he's like an S tier prop. I like what they did with his return. I think his face honestly looks pretty good with what they did. They tweaked his audio a bit, but I honestly don't mind it. And he is one that I have wanted to return, except here's the thing. In the future. Because, here's the thing, I've been going to Spirit since 2016. But in my eyes, he's still a decently recent prop. So I don't feel like his return was quite warranted just yet. I mean, I don't know, because at the same time, I feel like maybe Hugs would be... I don't know, he just strikes me as something that should have returned in the future, just not yet. So because of that, I can't really say he's an S-tier return. Because for me, an S-tier return would be like a beloved animatronic from a long time ago returned perfectly. And while, he has 2 of those 3 points, he doesn't have 3 of them. Just because I don't know, they should have given him a little more time to bring him back. Especially since we're still kind of in a clown craze. So, having the one that started all now isn't quite necessary in my opinion. I like him. I'm glad he returned, but just a little early. So because of that, I'd say A tier. Not quite S because, he's not the perfect return ever, but he was pretty good. So A tier. Finally, we're ending off the list with the halfway to Halloween props, which I must say, halfway to Halloween, they probably did a little better last year than this year. Other than Silent and Deadly this year, they kind of dropped the ball a little bit. But firstly, Rick Ratman. And I don't care what anybody says, he's peak. I love Rick Ratman so much. He's probably one of the best zombies they've done. But he's really gory, which is something we haven't seen in years. But I also just love the whole rats eating at him. He's so brutal, gnarly. The detailing on his face is really good. I really enjoy Rick Ratman. He's one that I almost pulled the trigger on when he came out. Almost. Didn't end up doing that, so I don't have him. But if he comes to stores this year, I'd love to snatch him up. So, because he's a great zombie, I'm going to put him at S tier. I think he's probably one of the best props of 2024, in my opinion. Very happy they made him. I think he's just really cool. And finally, thank you for making it this far. We have Clowning Around, the final prop on this list. And man, I gotta say, he is great. I love Clowning Around. I quite enjoy his character. I find it really fun. There's something quite eerie about how tall he is with the kids. But also, when they brought him back, they fixed up his face. Like, they gave it different forming in a way that makes him look so good. And so he's one of my favorite clown Spirit has done. Because, not only does he have that scary factor, but he's genuinely hilarious to me. Like, okay, maybe not that I've never cried at his phrases, but like, "Oh shucks, you would have hurt my feelings if I had any." Like, that's a funny phrase. He's genuinely like a funny, entertaining character to me, while still being a really cool prop for display. And so because of it, the final prop of this tier list is an S tier. I think he was a great return, because here's the thing. Well, you may think, now under their own haunts, you put Towering Clown in A tier because he was too early, yet Clowning Around was more recent than him. Why is that? And that's because he came out in limited quantities, meaning he was a rare prop anyways. So bringing him back, I think, was 100% justified. I just really wish it was in stores, man. I really wanted to see Clowning Around. I really wanted to get him. And with shipping, that would just be, barely a possibility. But yes, folks, that is the Spirit Halloween 2025 tier list. Hopefully, you enjoyed the video. I doubt anybody would have watched the full thing. If you did watch the full thing, and I'm looking at you, if you watch everything, every single second of this video, comment a horse emoji, okay? I just want to know how many people listen to 40 minutes straight of me yapping. But anyways, that's the video. Like and subscribe if you're new, and well, I'll see you folks in the next one. Farewell.